Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Call Time. I'm speaking to an old former guest of mine, Natalie Curea, or Nat, as I call her. Me and her have gone back for the past. Hang on. I think I'm froze. Oh no! You.
I
Oh,
can see you.
okay. I thought
Can
everything
start
was.
over.
Anyway, hang on. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Call Time. I'm speaking to Natalie Karina. Oh,
Buddha.
Karina, Karina.
Oh my God, it's so hard to pronounce it. It's actually, back home, my last name is pronounced Kura, but I know it's so hard to
Yeah,
pronounce it here.
and I have problems with pronouncing other people's names too. So it's just the way my brain is hardwired. But yeah, Nan and I go back a while now. She's a former guest of mine on the podcast before. Uh, we talked about her short film jump of previously, both on the production side and sort of like on the online film market side, specifically since prior to the episode, her short film had just did a couple of short, like just on the rounds of like the online market, but right after the episode dropped, her short film just happened to go on the actual short film circuit of a couple of places. We'll speak about that in a couple of moments. But Nat, how you been?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I've been doing good. As I said previously my personal on my personal Instagram story, I went to the eye doctor yesterday, and uh, all good in the eye doctor front, but they had put like dilating drops in my eyes to make sure I don't have like cataracts and stuff like that too. So
Oh,
getting
wow.
home, getting home yesterday was a trip when everything was just so bright.
Wow.
I was like, I should have just. Honestly, I should have just gotten my sunglasses and kept it there. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
especially that it was so sunny yesterday. It was like,
yes, very sunny yesterday. Uh, Compared to like right now, where it's just like cloudy as anything.
yeah, it's going to rain later, so that's what it.
That's usually a good sign. Uh, so yeah, Nat. When we last spoke, you'd mentioned that the your short film jump was about to go to two film, two short film festivals that was in person, right? Compared to previously where it was just strictly online. Now you could probably add a third one to the thing, but we probably talk about that in a little while. But from a filmmaker standpoint, because I was at the first one because I only because I only had like one break in that week between my work schedule, and then the following week I was like, I can't work. I mean, I can't get to that place. The next film festival place, because if I had gone there, I'd be like just too tired. I'd be like, you just see me in the crowd just like sleeping just because I was just too tired. But anyway, uh, the
So
first
you've seen the movie so many times, so
yeah, but also it's an actual theater compared to the other one. So yeah, so the one we both went to, it's at the Producers Club, and then if you are living in New York City, Producers Club it's an all right place. It's very cramped, depending on which theater you're in. I know each theater is like legitimately a lot more different than the other one. One theater is like so tiny and personable. They only have like actual chairs instead of like theater seats. But the theater seats are like very Broadway seats, and they're like very cramped together. Compare that to say movie theater seats where you have leg room and whatnot. But yeah, from a filmmaking standpoint, or film, especially as a producer standpoint, what was your process of getting into an in-person theater, a short film theater festival after, like, say, probably a few years, especially with especially with COVID and limited seatings and stuff like that too.
I mean, it was very unfortunate for Jump's release. Like my plan was to release Jump in October 2019, as I told you last time.
Yeah.
But due to some like technical issues, we needed some reshoots, and it took longer than anticipated to edit this film, so it delayed us to 2021, which is like 2 years after. So it was really like unfortunate for that to happen. So my initial plan was to have all the film festivals in person, because that's what I'm being used to, because I like the network. That's what film festivals are. You go there because you want to meet other filmmakers, you want to see the viewers' reaction to the film, you want to network, right?
Yeah.
But all of those film festivals, even the one in Berlin, that was supposed to be an actual physical film festival. I would have probably go there in person as well, but most of them like transitioned to the online version, and later, like, towards the end of 2021, when like the restriction like were easier,
Yeah.
they finally decide that they will hold, they will screen the movie theater, the film in an actual movie theater. And the first one was the Producers Club, which, I mean, it was like a little bit disappointing. I've never been to the Producers Club before, but it was like so tiny, and obviously it was a new film festival as well. I think it's called New York Film International Awards.
Yeah.
Jump actually won 2 awards for Best Director and Best Drama. It was intimate, it was nice, and but it's a different experience when you go to an actual movie theater, like at Cinema Village, for example, right? It's a screen, like a lot of people can come and see the movie, and it's actually like an actual movie theater experience where you can buy popcorn, some soda, and just have fun. But again, unfortunately, because of the limited seating and all the requirements, like you have to have a vaccination card, and a lot of people didn't. A lot of people couldn't come. Even people from my cast and crew, they wouldn't come because they were not vaccinated. So how do you force people to come to a movie theater when they have all these rules? So it was a better experience, from the Producers Club compared to the Cinema Village. But again, it was not the same as I've been used to my previous films, like Hot Seat, Phenomenal Woman, and Creative Writing.
Yeah.
And in general, to talk about film festivals, a lot of the film festivals are not really worth submitting the film to. Because if they don't have a venue, right? Even not a physical venue, but even an online platform where you can stream your movie, where people can see it, then I don't see how that film festival can help you as a filmmaker, right, to move with your career forward, or with your film. Because as a filmmaker at this stage, we want exposure, at least that, because obviously with a short film, you cannot make a lot of money at the box office, right? Like with Batman and all these movies that they make millions of dollars, and we wanted exposure. So it's like, if there is a film festival, and believe me, there are so many of them, that they will exploit on vulnerable filmmakers, like the first-time filmmakers, student filmmakers, and so on and so forth, because they know that we want exposure, we want our work to be acknowledged. So they prey on that, on the vulnerable ones, right? And make all these film festivals. You will see like so many of them. For example, the monthly film festivals, right?
Yeah.
If they don't have a venue where to show your film, if they don't have an online platform where to screen your film, I get it. You don't have a venue, at least have an online platform. Then I keep asking myself, what is the point, Because nobody's going to see the film except a few people who will watch the movie, and then they'll decide whether the movie deserves an award or not, and will send you a certificate or a trophy. And I'm like, that's not, that's why I've learned so much of Jump. Jump for me was not a joyful experience, but it was a great lesson to learn, because I'm learning all these things right now, like distribution, marketing, film festivals, and while I love film festivals, and there are so many great film festivals out there, like, Sundance, Toronto, Cannes, and other small ones like Tribeca and Big Apple, like,
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't have to be, exactly, it doesn't have to be top notch, like there are so many great smaller film festivals that will uh, give you the same benefits. You go there, you meet, not only you meet filmmakers, but you meet agents, distributors, and so on and so forth. But the rest of them, I feel like you have to be very careful. Like a lot of them even reached to me, giving me like a 60% discount just to submit to them. And I did. I was like, it wouldn't hurt, because we want exposures. But at the same time, I want to emphasize that if you want your film to be, if when people are watching this, if you want your movie to be screened at a film festival, just make sure they have a venue, that they screen it somewhere, like the one in Berlin, at the Lifto Film Festival. That was my favorite film festival because it was like a 2-month online screening, and a lot of people got to watch it. And that's essentially, that's what we want, because you want to make a movie to be seen, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of making a movie. And I feel like film festivals are great, but you have to be selective.
Yeah.
To make sure we have a venue, either a physical one, like the one at Cinema Village, at the New York Short Film Festival. I love that film festival. Most of my movies were screened there, at the Cinema Village. And it's I think the 10-year running, so it's a great one.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. Especially that, like, a lot of people who are not in the filmmaking industry, they have um, this misconception that we are making money out of it. The tickets are sold, we're getting like, I don't know, like, because a lot of people ask me like, oh, like, you must have made a lot of money because, your films have been screened to many film festivals, both in Europe, here, and also in Canada last weekend. And a lot of people think that, oh, you must have made some money, out of it. And to be honest, I haven't, because film festivals don't give any money from the ticket sale, and they should. They should do that. In Canada, the latest film festival in Canada last weekend, they told me they will give me 30% of the ticket sales. I haven't yet, got back to them about that. But that's the only film festival in Canada that actually offered me something, like a small profit. But the rest of them, none. And I'm like, I feel like they should do something about that. I feel like, especially us independent filmmakers.
Yeah, I think it's obviously something to do with just, and I think if I remember correctly from my like production class of like business production class where it was specifically talking about like producing and stuff like that too. I would imagine that the film festival would probably get back like the most of the profits, right? So how would you handle like say 10 like like 10 short films, right? And you want to get back at least some marginable like I said about my neighbor, it's like quiet now, but then it's like you hear something in the background. I'm sorry. Like you have 10 films, right? And you have the 10 filmmakers. How do you divide that compared to obviously the film festival probably get like some of the more bigger like percentage, then you divide that by, okay, let's just say one filmmaker, let's just use like one filmmaker for now. One filmmaker gets like say 3 or 4% back of the gross profits of the ticket sales that were made, and they were like maybe 200 ticket sales over like a 3-day period because it was a 3-day festival, right? So 200 tickets, and the tickets were like, $10 or something like that, or $15, depending on if it was like a day or night thing, right? They get back 3%, which you would think, 3% of like 200 ticket sales compared to all that would be good. But you would also have to factor in one, they're probably going to get like maybe not that much back.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, as the filmmaker, you're probably like, hey, I got some money back. Maybe I should give it back to some of the cast and crew, especially, they did a lot of hard work on this project, and then suddenly it's like, oh, it's like I only get like back, say, $15 or $20 or something like that.
Well, 3% is nothing. The film festival organizer in Canada, they offered me 30%, and that's something. It's not 50%, but 30%. It's better than nothing. And it's like kind of like paying respect for the hard work a filmmaker does. But in terms of cast and crew, yeah, I mean, and with Jump, most, they got paid. Some of them didn't, because there were some, financial issues, and the production company. You okay? Yeah, and the production company got closed eventually. But yeah, I get it. It's difficult, especially when at a film festival, it's not only one filmmaker. They're like, say it could be 10 or more, and that would be difficult. How but I feel like it could be done.
Yeah, it's just that they just.
Yeah,
it's just that a lot of film festivals are very stingy. And I remember there was actually a film festival that actually was in the Producers Club that I did, like, say, what was it, 2018 or so? Yeah, 2018, that I was supposed to do. And it was similar to the same thing, where it was like, it was, I believe, a 2-day performance, or like a 2-day schedule. Like, you had the short films here, and then the next day it'd be like maybe documentaries, and like there was like maybe one or two feature film that was like done, like that was being premiered. So obviously that was like the more longer day compared to, say, the short film like the short film stuff. But I was like, one, I didn't know the area of Midtown that well. Two, I was a student, right? I was a student going straight into a new college, right? So obviously, student trying to get their hand at a film festival. It was also in a place that I knew of, so Producers Club I knew of because I was just, I just acted in there like previously, just like a few months beforehand. So I was like, okay, this will be a perfect place for me to, meet new people, network, but at the same time, I was like, do I really want to wake up around, like, say, 7 o'clock in the morning to get there around 8 o'clock and spend essentially, I think the schedule for the first day was like from like 8 o'clock in the morning to, say, like 8 at night, maybe 9 o'clock at night, just essentially just sitting there and just click and play, click and play, click and play, or skip to the next play, skipping to the next short film or the next short film. And, I was like, yeah, you know what? There was another person there. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be, like, I'll commit myself into like promoting this thing, but otherwise, I just, like, I couldn't really commit myself to essentially, especially as a student who wanted to go into filmmaking, especially even if it was like a minor thing. How do I see that uh, as a win for me? Because even though, like, oh yeah, I could easily put this on my resume, it says, like, volunteer work at this festival, at this place, at this time. But even then, that festival was like maybe like one, might have been just like 1 year or so, and like they were supposed to do it the following year, but I never heard anything back, and I was like, maybe that was only that like one. And this was supposed to be a festival that has been like supposedly like there for the past like 10 years, but yeah, it was like, especially when you're a student and you want to go into filmmaking, and your professor's like, hey, we have a great, opportunity for you, especially for exposure, you know, try this for like, just try, just see what you could do, especially, going forward. But yeah, it's definitely more harder for a a student compared to, say, even a seasoned professional or even an auteur, amateur filmmaker, where they kind of know, okay, this place is going to be in, Harlem for like one night. I can make it to Harlem. It's got to be in a church. That's easy for me. Compared to, say, this place is, this film festival's got to be in Queens, but it's going to be in some person's apartment. And I'm just like, yeah, no. Yeah, obviously no. It's like,
no.
Church in Harlem, perfectly okay, but
someone's apartment, that's not a film festival.
no, not at all.
It's a party of family and friends, because a lot of the majority of film festivals, what they do get volunteers.
Yeah.
So they are not paying those people. And the thing is, yes, they need to pay the rent for those venues, but let's not forget that those film festivals also get a fee. Every filmmaker who submits a film has to pay, depending on how prestigious the film festival is, has to pay like a fee, regardless of whether the film gets accepted or not. So let's say the average fee to submit a film is $25, right? Yeah. And they get a lot of submissions, right? They probably accept only 40 or 50, again, depending on the film festival, but they get a lot of submissions. They get thousands of them, and they have money to rent those venues, and those fees with the tickets, right? When they, at the box office, when they sell those tickets, they have money to not only pay the rent for those venues, but also to give something back. Something symbolical, because we're not going to make a profit. That's obviously, film festivals are mostly for networking and meeting people, and some of them even can make a filmmaker's career. For some people can be a breakthrough. Like if you got your film premiering at the Sundance Film Festival, or Toronto, Tribeca, and Film de Cannes in France, I wouldn't mind paying a fee for those film festivals, and I would not want to profit from those film festivals, because those film festivals are, even though, I've read some articles saying that some of them are also elitist. You need like a referral to get in, to have your movie screened there. For example, of my film, of Jump, because it was 19 minutes, I was not qualified to submit it to Cannes, because Cannes, for a short film, you are not allowed to have your film more than 15 minutes, right? And even trying to cut it down to 15 minutes, it was impossible to cut down 4 minutes, because
there's a lot of stuff in that thing that does still feel impactful, even if you do cut it down for like.
And then it will make sense. So, but I'm not sure if Jump was Cannes material to begin with. It's like I've seen the movies premiering there, both at Cannes and Sundance, and they have a particular kind of subject we're looking to, and Jump for me is really not my favorite film I made. I think I said that in the past. It's probably because we had so many issues, and I guess I was not expecting those issues, but it's normal. It's my first film out of college, and it's a lesson, But in regards to speaking of college, and because I went to film school, right? I was thinking the other day. I'm like, why did I not learn all these things about marketing and distribution in college? It would have saved me so much time, because even though we had we read, we watched so many classics, we were like hands-on, like actually writing a screenplay, going to film it, editing and all that, directing, like we had to do everything ourselves. Like, what about when the film is over,
Yeah.
next, like why they, like it's something that they should really teach in schools.
Yeah, a class that legitimately just, sorry to cut you off, but a class that legitimately just teaches you about the post production aspect of a movie that's been shot, filmed. Now now it's being edited. What's the release date going to be like? What's because you hear movies nowadays, especially high movies that were like, oh, okay, a perfect example would probably be uh like The Kingsman. That was a movie that it's 20th century. Is it 20th century? Yeah, but basically a movie that came out like Christmas of last year, right? It was supposed to come out like say 2019 or so, but it got shuffled around because of just like uh of just release date issues and stuff like that too. And it just goes to show you that, even when the movie does come out and there are like, um, ads for it and, people, talking about it, interviews about it, you still get the sensation of, oh, there was this movie that came out that, that's coming out, that's coming out right now. And it's like, why am I not hearing about it from like, of just like upfront stuff, and it's like, and you just check on Twitter, is like things coming out right now, and then suddenly it's like things that are usually catered towards you, right? Obviously news that just more manufactured for you. Uh, it it's a lot more harder for you to remember, like, oh, this film is coming out soon because you happen to like a tweet that actually just says, hey, like this tweet when this movie's about to come out, and you like the tweet, and then suddenly it's about maybe a week or two before this movie comes out, and suddenly, oh, by the way, this movie's coming out, and you perfectly forgot about it because of just maybe lazy marketing, or just like marketing in general, where it's just like, back to where I was trying to say before, where it's like they should be teaching a class that is about the post production aspect. And the only times I actually read or even saw about that will probably be film school for like for major, like, I mean, not majors, well, obviously majors, but masters. People going for their master's degree and go, post, and there was like legitimately a class for people doing their thesis, just literally called post production, compared to say production and pre-production, where it's just like they literally have an entire semester worth of stuff to talk about what to expect with the post production, compared to say a class that only deals with the finances of making a movie and stuff like that too. And it's obviously more harder, whereas it's like, okay, you have a movie that's like shot in, like we just said before, whereas it's shot, it's filmed, it's edited down. Where can we send it out to? You could try your hand at the Tribeca, Tribeca, Sundance, or even something like a TIFF, where it's just like you have that shot of, okay, you have a short film that's possibly good enough for these film festivals, but at the same time, that might be several months to go. They have like a long period of, hey, we won't get back until you like September or something like that. In the meantime, you shop around, small independent film festivals that's around your area. Like we just said before, where it's like, oh, this place is going to be at a small church in Harlem, compared to say, a small theater in the west side of Manhattan. I mean, a small movie theater, I should say. But like any play, and like you said before, exposure is good, but it just goes to show you that there are more times where you just want to have more days or more time developing. Okay, I have this release idea, I gotta go straight into marketing, and the marketing aspect is a lot more harder because you have to deal with not only just time and effort from you, but also just time and effort for someone else who could to go, hey, I'm good with marketing. Maybe I could help you with all this stuff, or maybe ask one of your actors, like, say, hey, film is about to come out in, like, say, in 2 weekends, in 2 weeks, yeah, in 2 weeks, blah, in 2 weekends, the movie, movie's coming out. Yeah, we should go and promote it. But yeah, if you aren't striking the match while it's hot when it comes to marketing, a lot of the times you usually forget about, oh, by the way, this short film of ours is coming out soon, and we haven't really marketed it that well.
Well, that's the idea. The mistake that most new filmmakers do is they wait until the movie is finished and then they start the marketing process, and that's not how it should be done. As soon as you are in the pre-production phase, that's when you need to start marketing a film.
Yeah.
You don't wait until the last minute. That's why when you see these big movies, like, let's say the recent one, Batman, right?
Yeah.
That came, I don't know, a month ago. We heard about Batman for a year before, right?
Yeah.
Like when it was in the process of making Batman and announcing the actors and who's going to be Batman and so on. Well, that's how a successful marketing campaign should be done. What I did with Jump, I waited also because I did not know, like I said, really, like, school should have a class or two emphasizing on that aspect, about distribution, promotion of a film. Because once the movie is finished, right, the crew and actors, they move over to another project, but then the director and the producers, if there is a producer, they are left, and depending on the producers, because if there's a producer who's really, because that's the producer's job, not the director's job, a director should not, yes, the director promotes in his or her own way by doing Q&A and showing up at events and film festivals, interviews, and so on and so forth. But the marketing and distribution and the promotion of a film is really the producer's job, But most independent filmmakers, they are both producers and directors, or they don't have a producers to begin with. And in my case of Jump, I was in charge of promoting the film, and all I could do, right, as one person, I focused mainly on promoting on social media.
Yeah.
Social media is great when you have a huge following, but when you don't, and 80% of my followers are not even interested in filmmaking, then the film has no more exposure beyond that. And even on film festivals, exposure is great, it's good, but what's next? Because every filmmaker thinks, okay, I'm going to make a good film, and that will be my breakthrough. Someone will discover me, which is a myth. No one is going to discover you. You have to do all the work. And we think, like, oh, I'm making this film. That's like a business card for me to show what I can do, what I'm capable of. And you hope that, your film is going to the film festival and somebody there, an agent or is going to see your film and offer you maybe to sponsor your next project. That's why they say you always have to have another project, in development, like a script or something to show when you meet these people, at the festivals. But it's even, what is sad is that even things like getting an agent, right? Because like actors, the majority of Hollywood, like well-established film directors, they do have either an agent or a manager.
Yeah.
They have this middle person that, gets you the next deal, or an agent will be like, okay, we have this up and coming director, he or she has an amazing screenplay. Why don't we have a meeting with an executive producers and see if someone is interested in your film? That's how things are done. As an independent filmmaker, such as myself, it's very difficult to break through when you don't know anybody, like in the filmmaking industry. That's why you need an agent. How do you get an agent? You also need, like, to show work that you have, like, scripts, and you have, you can't just pay someone and be like, oh, be my agent. No, they'll have to choose you, if they see potential in you. And also how to option the film rights for a book. All these things that are so important, I had no idea about them until I had to make jump and be pushed in this reality, right? Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like when I made jump before, I had illusions. Oh, making a film, and I love making films. But after making jump, I really was pushed into this, like, oh my God, it's like it's a hell. It's like, what am I supposed to do now? And that's why many filmmakers, they don't get to make a second movie, or they don't even get to finish a first film because of that, because getting into the marketing and the post-production of a movie, it's the hardest thing. And filmmaking is a business. It's not, it's 10% art and 90% business, because without publicity, a movie basically doesn't exist. And sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes it's not about the story, but it's how well they had market the film. Because you see a lot of movies that, oh, how come I've never seen this movie? Like great movies, like gems. And well, it depends of how much they put into it, because some of the movies, like I've read an article recently, like the average Hollywood uh, movie, like for how much they spend for the marketing campaign, is like $40 million, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, or for example, if a movie, the budget of a movie was, let's say, $200 million, then half of that you have to, like, it's like that. It's $1 for $2 that you spend in the production. So basically, if you spend 200 millions to make a movie, then you have to add another 100 million to invest in the marketing campaign. Everything is about publicity. Even with the Oscars, even to get nominated for an Oscar, you still have to have a marketing campaign.
And you bring a good valid point about marketing, is that at the film festival that we went to, the one in Producers Club,
Mm-hmm.
I took the moment to actually look up some of these films that were there that night,
Wow.
and sure enough, they had say some Instagrams or some promotional pages like IMDb's and stuff like that too, but they didn't really say, with the Instagrams, it was like maybe one movie that would have, like, say, oh, by the way, we have this event coming up to say, hey, we're premiering the short film at this event at this location at this city. Please come support us. Compared to that, to say several years ago, where one of my friends, or one of my theater colleagues, she had a short film that she made, like, say, like maybe previously over the past that past year, and she was having it premiered at a film festival, but the film festival was at a bar, which was pretty interesting to say the least. But in that atmosphere, I was still able to talk to directors of other short films, directors about short film, you know, get advice about that thing, compared to, say, the following, a few months later, where I actually went to. Okay, I didn't go. I wasn't really invited. Apparently, there was an open screening that was like for friends only and stuff like that too. And I'm like, well, maybe I could say I am a friend of somebody here. So it was like, no one will probably be
They're gonna check.
mindful. No one's got to check to say, oh yeah, I'm a friend of the actor, and they're probably say, oh yeah, I don't remember you, but okay, you're my friend. But you know, it was like my first instance of sneaking into a film premiere, like a feature film premiere of this film that was a work in progress. Obviously, it was like 95% of it was obviously done, but there was obviously a couple of cutaways or inserts that were like obviously made to be like, oh, obviously you gotta wait for the actual film release to be like, okay, this is actually fully done. This is 95% done, but this is obviously, there's still a couple of things that were like still work in progress, like shots that had like the actors' real names in there instead of the characters' names and stuff like that too. But obviously, going into uh, a film premiere, like obviously sneaking into the thing and somehow being like not noticed about, oh, who is this guy, but that sort of thing. But still coming up and asking about the director, saying, hey, I love the fact that you shot in New York City, and I love how you used Brooklyn as a backdrop. What was it like actually filming in a authentic Brooklyn location? Because he had to film in a warehouse, and warehouses are like, it's obviously, it's hard to describe what a warehouse is going to be like. It could be like, oh, the movie warehouse, where it's just like, it's like a warehouse, but then it could be like a very dingy and dirty warehouse area. Like, as a director, I'm like, okay, how do we work around this location, because we're in a very dirty warehouse? Where can we find that? And it's like, even in those premieres, I was still able to network and stuff like that too. Compared that to like I was saying, like I was trying to make my point before, where it's like in the Producers Club one, you were talking about, hey, I can't wait to network all, and you were talking about this beforehand, like before I got there. I was like, I can't wait to network between all these people, and then the moment their short film was done, they were practically gone. Like they were probably, and there would be people that would just do their little Q&A, and then once they were done, they were gone, and like,
and that was, I've never seen that happening before, and I feel that was the fault of the film festival's organizers, because I remember I received an email and they said that everyone be on time, but you don't have to stay until the end. And that's something that you should not say, because that's disrespectful, like if my film was like second to last, right? By the time my film was screened, half of the audience were gone.
Already gone. Yeah.
Like, okay, like first, I get it. It was, to begin with, it was like a long time. You don't schedule such a long time because it's exhausting. It was like 3 hours. Right?
Yeah, it was like close to 3 hours. Yeah, close to 3 hours.
Right, because we started the event at 6 p.m. and I think it finished like around 9:30. And I'm like, first of all, it's too long. You don't get like, especially if you don't have an intermission where people could grab some, like, I don't know, a glass of wine or water, or go use
go outside and just take a little breather, and just like, hey, it's
so if you don't have an intermission, because I go to the opera a lot and it's like more than 3 hours, but at least you have the first and the second half where you can relax for a little bit. So it's obviously, you can tell it's a new film festival. I think it's in their first or second year, I'm not sure. And you can tell that we are inexperienced, because first of all, you don't put such a long time, right?
Yeah.
And you send an email and said to them, okay, please be on time, but you don't have to stay till the end of the event. Like, no, like you can't do that, because that's what they did. That's exactly what they did. They watched their movie.
Yeah, and they would just like.
And I'm like, oh my God, maybe it's this pandemic, and people got so like careless, like the isolation. Because in the past we used to stay. I remember when I screened my Hot Seat, my favorite film actually, a film I made in college. We stayed so long. We, like everyone, we got outside, we had drinks, we took photographs, we changed business cards, those who had the business cards. And beforehand we also went to a bar, got some martinis and things like that. And we, I met so many people back in 2017. And when I went to the Producers Club, my first time ever, and I felt bad for people, for you and the other people who came to watch John, because it's not like I promised, but I said we're going to have fun, let's network, let's meet new filmmakers, maybe actors, because you never know. As a director, you can meet your next cinematographer or next editor. As an actor, you can meet the next director, and so on and so forth. And I was really feeling guilty because I invite you guys to come to the event, but then you didn't get anything out of it. And
a perfect counterpoint to this is that Darren, one of our mutual friends, he actually got to meet with someone who was like, I believe it was their last, I think it was the last movie, which was
the animation one, I think, yeah.
the animation one. And after the thing, him and the one that was there that was promoting, because the lead, I think she was probably like maybe one of the second animators there, because the lead animator was in Japan, and obviously I don't think you could leave Japan because of I mean, you could leave Japan, but there was obviously some COVID restrictions and stuff like that too still happening around like October, November, whenever the thing was happening. And because of that, he was able to like network himself into saying, hey, I'm a cinematographer and I'm a director, I'm such and such, I'm a producer. And I was able to do the same thing where it's like, hey, I run a podcast about performing artists and stuff like that too. And which reminds me, I probably have to reach out to the person because it's like, hey, it's been a couple of months, but I met you at this at this event that we kind of like. But yeah, at film festivals, it's kind of like it's kind of like fairly knowledge, where it's just like, okay, I've been to student film festivals where it's like the moment the person's short film pops up, they're just like, they just duck and run. Like it's like,
I don't get it. I mean, like, then what is the point? Like because film festivals, the majority of film festivals, it's for networking, right? Like,
yeah,
you will find maybe someone who works in distribution, and that could help you distribute your film or even buy it from you, because not these film festivals that we went to, obviously, but the ones that are top-notch film festivals, right? Like Venice Film Festival and Cannes and Sundance and Tribeca and so forth. Like, you see a lot of distributors going there.
Yeah.
And if they like what they see, even Netflix, the majority of film festivals on Netflix, they pick it from film festivals. They have their own people going there, watch the film, and then they make a deal with the producer or the director. And it's like I'm thinking like.
And it's obviously more harder because the idea of, say, and this is what happened to me like a few years ago when I was doing the acting thing at the Producers Club, where it's just like, this will be like a 3-night performance, or 3 days performance, I should say. Well, 2-night performance and 1 day performance. There we go. But anyway, it was a weekend thing, and right before we even did the thing, we got the notion of, since it's in Manhattan, and we're all actors, somehow one actor could invite one of their friends who was possibly an agent or something like that. So we, as actors, got a folder ready to say, hey, this is my headshot, this is my resume. Maybe staple it together to be more cost effective or something like that. And obviously, I remember going to the end of the festival. I mean, the end of the performance was like, hey, did anybody come as an agent or something like that? I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, that was kind of expected to hear, because it's Midtown. It's Midtown Manhattan. It's fairly a busy place. Especially if you're going to and from a theater. It's like there's like hundreds of theaters in that area where it's just like you could go to. Compared to, say, the Venice Film Festival, where it's just like, that's like an authentic place to go and pitch movies, to release movies, to premiere movies, like, especially if it's like a secret premiere.
You have to get to those film festivals. It's not that easy. Also, to I've read an article recently saying that it's not enough to have a great movie, apparently. And even those film festivals like Venice and Toronto and so forth and so on, they still want to know a little bit about the filmmaker behind the movie, who she is or he. And like, it would be great if you have like a referral for somebody else. And I'm like, I'm not sure how true that is, but it's true that Venice and Sundance and Cannes were elitist. Like, seen, I mean, when they were founded, initially worked to discover new voices, new independent filmmakers, but as we've seen, a lot of well-established Hollywood directors go to Venice and Sundance, and I'm like, it's harder and harder for like small independent filmmakers, like for example, especially those who make short films, right?
Yeah.
Like imagine Amazon, for example, right? Amazon, it used to be a good platform for independent filmmakers. All you had to do is create an account of them, submit your movie along with a synopsis and the poster, trailer, and a few promotional materials, and then wait 2-3 weeks to get processed to have the film on Amazon. Now Amazon doesn't do that anymore. Like I've tried to, because I remember I told people, a lot of people asked me, oh, I didn't have a chance to come to the film festival, to see your movie, but if it's on a platform somewhere, I will watch it. And I've tried to put my movie on Amazon, and again, out of luck, I guess, Amazon does not accept short film content anymore. And that's happened recently, and I could have done, and sometimes I'm blaming myself, maybe I procrastinated too long, maybe I waited too long, but at the same time I'm like, no, I did not, because I cannot put my film on Amazon while it's in the film festival circuit. That is another problem that makes it difficult for us independent filmmakers, because when you submit your film to a film festival, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, they don't allow you to have it anywhere else because it has to be a world premiere, So to be eligible to get accepted to a film festival, I'm not going to say again which one, because I feel like I'm advertising too much at these film festivals, but
no, I mean, it's okay. But obviously, once you have a film festival going, and then it's like, you kind of get the film festival itch. It's like the same thing with the theater festival. It's just like,
that's part of the job. So what I'm saying is, like, you are not allowed to have it anywhere else. So if I were to have, to have that option, I would have definitely do the Amazon thing right away. But I'm like, I cannot do that. And I see now that's changing because, the pandemic, I see that there are movies that are playing in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And at the film festival and on Netflix or HBO simultaneously,
Yeah.
That didn't happen before. A few years ago, you couldn't do that. If you had your film on Netflix, you were immediately disqualified from the film festival or even the Oscars, Now you see The Power of the Dog. I just actually watched the movie last night. It's already on Netflix,
Yeah.
And that is something that I've never seen happening before. So with my film, unfortunately, I cannot have it on Amazon because I waited to finish all this film festival circuit, and then I would post it on a platform. And I tried to do it with Amazon, and they told me, okay, they rejected it because it's a short film and they do not accept short film content. And that makes it even harder now, because that was the only professional platform that us independent filmmakers could rely on, because to have it on Netflix, it's too expensive. Like I've checked, because you cannot approach Netflix the way you approach Amazon, right? They do not accept any unsolicited material. So you need to have an agent. To have an agent, you need to pay an agent. And that doesn't guarantee that your movie will be accepted by Netflix, because the way it works is, first of all, you have to have your movie get this agent that costs, like, I don't know, $2,000 minimum. This agent will get your film to Netflix movie database, but that doesn't guarantee that they will accept your film, because they need to have requests from people, So again, the director has to do what? Pay an agent, get the movie to the database, at Netflix, and then I have to get at least an army of people, literally, to write requests to Netflix to say, hey, and obviously that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible for me to do that, to get so many people to request for my film at Netflix. So again, like, I've learned so much, and I feel like I have to prioritize things. Like, if I wanted my film to be on a platform, then I should just get an agent, because anyway, the money I spent applying for film festivals, I could probably pay the agent. So I feel like I have to, from now on, I'll have to choose. Do I really want a film festival, or I'd rather have an agent? You know, the fees that I'm paying a film festival, I'd rather pay an agent and have my film at like a mainstream platform, because imagine Netflix or even Amazon would do much more for my career than would a film festival that some of them, the majority of them, they didn't even have a platform to showcase my film. They just privately watched my film and, you know, awarded either, you know, best director or best short. But what that award is going to do to me? Nothing, because I don't receive phone calls saying, hey, Natalia, you know, would you like to direct this or that? You know? So in the end, what matters is, does this film festival or that platform help your career, you know, help you move forward? Because essentially what's happening right now, because I'm writing a few screenplays, I'm starting from zero, you know. Like I have to do, and I'm tired to do the same things over and over again, because if eventually it will give me the same results. So right now, this year, I really took a break from, you know, I've written a little bit, but most of the time I really read a lot about distribution, about marketing, because I do not want to make a film and have the same result as of jump. You know, I really need to be prepared and have the marketing campaign even before I go into production. You know, the moment I have the screenplay, the moment I'm in pre-production, you know, looking for cast and crew, I need to announce it that, you know, I'm making a new film. Because that's the most important thing, you know. Otherwise, I will just keep making films and be in the dark, you know, because unfortunately, marketing is what's.
Yeah, I think to close this episode off, and it's a very beautiful, like a literally a beautiful, like a beautiful way to close this thing off. Is the problem with marketing is that, you know, there are streaming services that I know of, like I think IFC has one, Sundance has one, but you know, to premiere your, say, a short film like Jump onto, like, say, IFC or Sundance, you know, on their streaming sites and stuff like that too, it will be much more harder because, you know, how many people will go and see that, you know, and there are other independent streaming sites, you know, I think, you know, that could be a very useful little thing, but I just find it amazingly hilarious that, you know, the Academy Awards has, or the, you know, the Oscars have been so mindful about, you know, live action shorts or animation shorts or documentary shorts or what have you, and there's no platform to use those shorts outside of YouTube, and YouTube could only do so much because, you know, you don't get paid off of YouTube unless your video becomes monetized, and even then you get like literally, you know, like a few cents from every view or something like that, and unless
I don't, what I put on my it's exactly why I don't put my movies on YouTube, because I mean I see no point making a film and making that's amateurs level, you know. I really wanted Jump to be on a professional platform, and right now I'm working a deal with, you know, a platform that's in Europe, like a short TV, I think it's called, something like that. Yeah, like YouTube, no, like you said, it will take you
like forever to get like actual come from YouTube. And the funny thing is, you know, this podcast is primarily on YouTube, and I don't really see any income from that because, you know, my videos aren't really monetized, so I'm only doing this from the sheer love of just talking to people who are, I know of creative artists and performing artists, directors, writers, what have you, and just like not only picking their brain about their craft and talking about that craft, but just having a passion for that craft too, like the same thing I do. But
Because even with your podcast, you probably need a sponsor. You need a marketing campaign with everything. That's what it is. I've realized that filmmaking is not mainly it's business. It's about profits. Because even if I find someone to invest in my film, he or she will be like, okay, would I make money from your movie? It's your movie sellable. Like, can I sell it?
Yeah.
It's it comes to that in the end. Would I make a profit? If I invest in you, and that's with everything, podcast, everything. It's marketing.
And then I would just see videos of people like, Instagram story, well, not Instagram stories, but Instagram channels or profiles. There we go. That would essentially post about, quotes from other writers and filmmakers and stuff like that too. And it goes, even though when, even if the chips are down, like especially when you're up trying to market something, you still have to go forth and marketing things, because otherwise, how the hell are you even going to get this project out? Because I've had friends who do the same thing, where it's just like, okay, we're doing pre-production for a new movie. Follow us on this thing, and we'll be updating it, primarily every so often. The same thing with, oddly enough, with theater, with theater plays that only were probably like maybe 1 week at a student club or something that I knew of, and they still had the Instagram up because they wanted people to know, like, hey, this play actually existed at this time because we actually performed it. But the problem is that with marketing, it has to do with what you probably said before, where it's just like, unless you have like an agency behind you or primarily a sponsorship, that's more of the rougher portion, is that, and sponsorships really do help, a movie, where it's just like, a great example again with the Batman. The Batman has a Little Caesar sponsorship in the movie, and every so often you will probably be watching, TV or a YouTube video, and then there's an ad for the Batman Little Caesars pizza, where it's just like, it's a pizza in the shape of a, well, it's a pizza and calzone in the shape of a bat. And I'm like, that's brilliant marketing, because you could buy a pizza from them and have essentially a bat shaped pizza for like, I don't know, $20, whatever the thing is. And I'm like, that's great marketing, compared to, say, someone who is just trying to promote their short movie, or a 5 minute like acting performance on their YouTube channel. And it's a lot more harder, because one, you could just say, hey, I just made an acting reel of my performances in like a few of these short films of mine, and a couple of guest spots and stuff like that. Go, please support me, support the arts, something like that. And then people will click on it, and then they're like, see if they, actually people had view it or not. And that's always the hardest case for me, is because, each time I premiere an episode, and I've been doing this more often now, where it's just like 2 days before the episode, I would be like, oh, it's like either 2 days or maybe even a week before the episode, to say, hey, next week, new episode, blah, blah, blah. And then probably the same thing, where it's just like, I would, post about it, like, hey, in 2 days, new episode, blah, blah, blah. And then on the day of, forget about saying, oh, by the way, there's a new episode. And then suddenly, like, at the end of the day, when I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot about promoting the episode and stuff like that too. And sure enough, people will probably see it later that day, compared to, say, hey, earlier that day, where it's just like, during lunchtime or something like that. Yeah, obviously promotion is hard, especially with marketing, unless you have, excuse me, unless you have a sponsorship or an agency that's just essentially backing you up.
That's the way to go, because like you said, it's very hard to be an artist and a business person at the same time, because that takes all your focus. Like I'm supposed to like create. I'm supposed to think of my new screenplays and the new movies that I want to make. But instead, I'm thinking about marketing and learning all this, marketing, promotion, distributions, and that is essentially not a director's job. Like every filmmakers should have an agent, should have someone who is in charge of that aspect, and that way the director creates art, is in charge of the artistic side, directing actors, but unfortunately, you and I, right, being a independent artist, we have to do everything, and something suffers, when you focus on so many things that, Hollywood movies have like 100 people on their team doing those things, then you will see that will affect the art. You will see the film, you will see the result. Okay,
and
there's performances there that were not quite truthful. Okay, well, I guess the director did not direct those actors when the director had to focus on these other things, and even on set, it's just independent filmmakers, they have to do so much, and in the end, the film suffers.
Yeah, and there is and just to close this, just to close the episode, there is a bright aspect of this, or dark aspect, depending on how you view it, is that there will be people who, with sponsorship, who would say, hey, we would love to sponsor your episode, but at the same time, we would have to say, hey, can you also pay us like $120 or $150 per month just to do all this stuff? Even going up to something like maybe $300. And from a artist standpoint, you could literally have a person that managing your social media and stuff like that too, where it's just like, building up a social media platform, especially on maybe something like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, what have you. And then something like, you still have to spend like, say, $200 per month just to get these stuff across, when, when it's like, there was much more of a thrill to promoting this yourself, because this was done by your own set schedule. This was done by your own, done by your own set schedule. And I think that's, and, there are good and bad and ugly aspects of marketing. And sometimes you just have to outweigh the options of, like, do I really want to outweigh the bad options compared to the good options, or compared to the ugly options, where it's just like, do I really want to spend like X amount of money per month to promote my podcast or film or just myself as an artist, compared to, say, the good aspects of, should I just promote it by myself and just be free and easy of myself, where it's just like, artists, they, there's that old saying of time is money, and a lot of stuff is like, do I really want to waste time, or do I want to waste the time to make the money, or do I want, there we go. Do I want to waste time losing money, or do I want to waste time in order to make money? And I think that's the hardest part as an artist now, is that nowadays there's like a lot of people who have so much great platforms and stuff like that too, where it's just like, they have like 13,000 people following them on TikTok, or maybe 500 people following them on Instagram, or 1,000 people following them on their Twitter account.
And marketing strategy, even with Instagram and Facebook, it's also it's not, because when people say, oh, someone has so many followers, also behind those followers is also a marketing strategy, and they know how the algorithm works. But I would rather pay someone to be in charge of marketing. But the thing is, I cannot afford it, so that's why I'm promoting Jump by myself. But in the future, if I were to find the money for my next films, I would allocate a budget just for marketing, because a lot of new filmmakers, what they do is they spend all the money on production, on actors and special effects, and forget about marketing. But I think the wisest thing to do is to have, from the beginning, have a budget just for the marketing, to put it aside. I rather not have any special effects and all that. I rather have less known actors, but talented, of course, and have money invested in marketing rather than spending like 2 millions just to have an actor who is well known. Because a lot of what I've noticed, a lot of people make movies with well-known actors because they know it will sell. So regardless of how great the story is, the movie is, if there is Ryan Reynolds in the movie, you know it will sell, right?
Yeah.
I said his name because I've I've seen so many movies recently with him on Netflix. You know, like so many. Like I think I've watched like 4 recently just with him. Like the Adam Project, Free Guy, and Red Notice, and some other. And what I'm saying is, like, I know a lot of new filmmakers, they want to do that. They want to get a well-known actor because it will sell. But you really have to prioritize. You really have to have money. If you have money for both, that's great. It's great to have a well-known actor, especially if he has like millions of followers on their social media. That's good too, because a lot of actors, like in my case of Jump, my actors, the main actors, let's say the clown, right? He doesn't have a social media, and if your actors don't have a social media, that's also not going to advertise the movie.
Yeah.
I read an interview with the actress who play Sansa, in the Game of Thrones. She said that she was casted. She was cast because she had more followers than the next candidate, because there were 2. And she even said it. I mean, I'm not saying these things. She said it, in her own words, that there was an actress who played better the role of Sansa, right?
Yeah.
But the casting director picked her because of the followers. So social media, it plays an important role right now. A lot of people right now, like I've seen so many casting notices where it says, oh, if you are a TikTok influencer, if you have so many followers, we are having this project where we need TikTokers. So yeah, social media can really decide your future. Like in this case, that girl maybe was more talented, but because she was not focused on social media much, she didn't have the followers, then she missed an opportunity. And it's great, but it's also sad at the same time, because do we want quality over quantity? You know what I mean? Like if I would probably choose the talent. I would not look at the followers. I never did. But at the same time, I know when it comes to marketing, it suffers, because I never picked my actors according to their followers, right? Most of them, they don't have an Instagram account. I chose because I felt they were talented and right for the role. But different filmmakers work differently. It's That's why now I'm thinking I need to approach things differently too. I need to adapt to the times we're living in. So.
And on that note, that has been a great episode that we've talked about, and I know that it really does put a emphasis on what marketing is, especially from 2 independent artists like living out in New York City, where she's a independent filmmaker and I'm an independent artist, independent podcaster who really does this stuff on his own time, compared to, say, professional podcasters who have like all this stuff like out weekly and have like sponsorships and stuff like that too. And that, that's all good and fun, but it's like what Natalie just said before, where it's just like, I'd rather focus on the quantity over the quality. And I'd rather just focus on the talent I'm working with rather than, hey, I gotta deal with this. All right. Anyway, I know this is this episode ran a little longer today, but it was a great discussion to have with Nat. And yeah, I hope you all just enjoy yourselves. Just be well, be positive. Just be well, be positive, and just take care, everybody. And peace.